In the moonless night of October 23, 4 thrill seekers gathered at the edge of a desolate island on the outskirts of Philadelphia. They stood before the foreboding silhouette of Fort Mifflin, a relic of the Revolutionary War that had long since been abandoned. The fort had gained notoriety as one of the most haunted places in America, and the group was determined to uncover its chilling secrets. Tom, a rugged outdoorsman with a fascination for the paranormal, led the expedition. His 3 companions, Sarah, Mike, and Lisa, were eager yet apprehensive about what they were about to encounter. Armed with flashlights, digital voice recorders, and a video camera, they stepped onto the creaking wooden drawbridge that led to the fort's entrance. As they crossed into the fort, a thick, musty odor greeted them, like a specter from the past. The air was heavy with anticipation. Tom began recounting the legends that had drawn them here, tales of ghostly soldiers, tormented prisoners, and the lady in white who was said to roam the corridors at night. Their first destination was the casemates, the dark, underground chambers where Revolutionary War prisoners had been held in squalor. The group descended a narrow stone staircase into the bowels of the fort, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the moss-covered walls. Lisa, the most skeptical of the group, suddenly felt a bone-chilling draft. "Did anyone else feel that?" she asked, her voice quivering. Tom dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but Mike, a self-proclaimed psychic, insisted on conducting a séance. The group gathered in a circle, their hands trembling, as Mike attempted to communicate with the spirits. His voice grew louder, more desperate, and then, abruptly, he fell silent. A deep, guttural voice seemed to emanate from nowhere, whispering their names, and the temperature plummeted. Panic gripped the group as their flashlights flickered and went out. Sarah, terrified, tried to turn hers back on, but it remained stubbornly dark. In the pitch-black darkness, they heard footsteps, multiple pairs of them. Approaching from all sides, the group clung to one another, hearts pounding as unseen hands seemed to touch them, tug at their clothes, and icy fingers brushed their faces. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, it stopped. The voices, the footsteps, the touches all ceased. Tom's flashlight blinked back to life, revealing the ashen faces of his companions. They knew they had experienced something beyond the ordinary. They continued their exploration, now fully aware that they were not alone. They ventured into the officers' quarters, where the lady in white was rumored to appear. As they entered, they saw her a spectral figure in a flowing white gown, her eyes hollow and mournful. Lisa, who had been the most skeptical, felt a deep sense of sorrow wash over her. She approached the apparition, extending a trembling hand. The lady in white turned, her gaze meeting Lisa's. In that moment, Lisa felt the weight of centuries of despair and longing. Suddenly, the lady in white vanished, leaving Lisa shaken but strangely comforted. She knew that the spirits here were not malevolent. They were trapped souls, seeking release from their tortured existence. As the group made their way back to the drawbridge, they couldn't shake the feeling that they had indeed traveled through time, touching the past, and making a connection with the restless spirits of Fort Mifflin. They left the fort, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of the horrors that had occurred within those stone walls. But they also left with a newfound respect for the dead, and a sense of gratitude that they had been able to glimpse a world beyond the living, a world that was chilling, haunting, and undeniably real. The group left the fort, their hearts heavy with the knowledge of the horrors that had occurred within those stone walls. But they also left with a newfound respect for the dead and a sense of gratitude that they had been able to glimpse a world beyond the living, a world that was chilling, haunting, and undeniably real. As they crossed back over the drawbridge, they couldn't help but glance back at the fortress. It loomed in the distance, a dark silhouette against the night sky, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead had blurred. Their journey was far from over, though. The encounter with the lady in white had left them with more questions than answers. They decided to return to Fort Mifflin, this time during daylight, armed with research and a determination to delve deeper into its grim history. They spent weeks poring over historical records and interviewing local experts. What they discovered was a chilling tale of suffering and death. During the Revolutionary War, Fort Mifflin had been a brutal prison for British and Hessian soldiers. Disease, malnutrition, and harsh conditions had claimed the lives of many, leaving behind a legacy of pain and misery. But the most disturbing revelation was the existence of a secret underground dungeon, a place where the worst of the prisoners had been confined. It was a dark, cramped chamber where they were left to die, forgotten by the world above. Tom and his companions returned to Fort Mifflin with this new knowledge, determined to find the entrance to the underground dungeon. They believed that unlocking the secrets of this hidden chamber might provide insight into the restless spirits that haunted the fort. Their search led them to a concealed trapdoor beneath one of the casemates. With trepidation, they descended into the depths, their flashlights illuminating the narrow, winding passageways. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread settled over them as they ventured further into the underground labyrinth. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a series of cells, tiny, wretched spaces where prisoners had been kept in complete darkness. The walls were etched with desperate scratches, a testament to the prisoners' suffering. It was in one of these cells that they made a chilling discovery, a name carved into the stone wall: E. Turner, 1781. The name sent shivers down their spines. It was as if the past had reached out to them, imploring them to remember the forgotten souls who had perished in this hellish place. They continued their exploration, their determination to uncover the truth unwavering. As they moved deeper into the dungeon, the air grew even colder, and their breaths hung like ghosts in the frigid darkness. Strange noises echoed around them, whispers, moans, and the distant sound of footsteps. It was as if the very walls were alive with the tormented souls of the past. But how exactly they came upon a chamber that seemed... The walls were covered in faded symbols and strange, otherworldly markings. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient, rusted iron chair, a chair of torment. It sent a shiver down their spines as they realized its purpose. Mike, the psychic of the group, approached the chair and touched it. In an instant, he was overcome by a wave of anguish and despair. He saw flashes of faces, hollow-eyed, emaciated prisoners who had been subjected to unspeakable horrors in this very chamber. As Mike recoiled from the chair, they heard a voice that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was a voice filled with pain and longing. "Help me," it whispered over and over again. The group was paralyzed with fear, but they knew they couldn't ignore the plea for help. They decided to conduct a séance, using the symbols on the walls as a guide. As they joined hands and closed their eyes, they felt a presence in the room, a presence that was neither malevolent nor benevolent, but simply trapped. The séance was an intense and emotional experience. They communicated with the spirits of the prisoners, offering them solace and a promise that they would not be forgotten. In that moment, they felt a surge of energy, a release of centuries-old pain. When they opened their eyes, the chamber was bathed in an eerie, ethereal light. The symbols on the walls had faded, and the air was no longer cold and oppressive. It was as if the spirits had found peace at last. As they made their way back to the surface, they couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. They had ventured into the heart of Fort Mifflin, confronted its darkest secrets, and made a connection with the tormented souls that lingered there. Their journey had been terrifying and haunting, but it had also been a testament to the power of empathy and the importance of remembering those who had suffered and died in the name of freedom. Fort Mifflin would forever hold its secrets, but Tom and his companions had brought a measure of peace to the restless dead who dwelled within its walls, a peace that was long overdue.